Okay, next problem we're going to solve. We can go through it real quick. Create an application that instantiates and displays two objects. Classified add has fields, instance fields, for category, number of words, and price. Include properties. So just as quick as we learn about accessors and mutators, we're going to learn the C# way of accessors and mutators. Accessors and mutators are something that I learned in Java, and they've been around forever. Of course, they exist in C#, but it's not really what you see a lot of in C#. You see accessors and mutators a little bit more in Java, at least in my experience. And so these things called properties are more commonly found in C#. And so as quickly as we learn accessors and mutators, we're going to learn another technique ultimately for doing the same thing, putting data in and pulling data out of our instance fields. Okay, so I've got a C# form, and our class is called an add, a classified add, right? So let me collapse soccer player, and just like I did before, I'm going to right-click the project, add a class. This will be called classified add, and I'm going to mark my class as public. And we're going to start off with the instance fields. It's all about the instance fields. Instance fields are the category, the number of words, and the price. String is a category. Private instance field, string underscore category. Private integer number of words. Private decimal price. We have three instance fields. We're going to make these things called properties, which are very similar in that you set the data and you get the data. Of course, there's some keywords, set and get. And so watch the convention on category. I'm going to say public string capital category. Okay, this is how we're going to start. Now, these are called properties. Properties are used in C# to set and get data, just like our methods. This is not a method, this is called a property. Okay, inside of our public property called category, you're going to have a get block and a set block. The get block returns the category instance field, and the set block sets underscore category equal to this keyword called value. Value is ultimately going to be passed in from the data on the form, right? So we now have, just from people who are brand new, probably if you're looking at this property called category versus what we learned was two methods in soccer player to get player name and set player name. We've got these two different methods versus the one property. So, and although the syntax here isn't super long, most people would prefer the one property to do both setting and getting. There is a shorthand syntax for this as well. And so your get block could be condensed down. Get rid of the curlies with this arrow. Like that. So the get block can be reduced to that. And of course, you might guess the set block can be reduced to that. Okay? And so this syntax is more condensed and probably would be preferable for you guys. And there's an even shorter syntax that we're going to get to. Okay, so properties really can condense the syntax you'll hear this called syntax sugar, right? It's just a way of making it the syntax a little sweeter, if you will. Okay, so we have a category, number of words, so now we have 1, 2. Now, also notice this category does both operations. It's a read and a write operation. Same thing with number of words. It's a read and a write operation. Looking at the instructions, it says only a get for the price. So I'm going to make a property that is a read only. In other words, it only has a get block for the price. So if I say decimal price, it's crazy how good IntelliSense is. Now the price is not as straightforward. The price is the number of words. I think the instructions say times 0.09. So it says the price is calculated at 9 cents per word. And so for that reason, word, let's see. Now what is this saying? We need this to be a decimal. So we've got an int times a 0.09. Let's put that m there behind it to make that happy. So 0.09 by default is a double, and we want that to be a decimal. So now we have an int times a decimal resulting in a decimal, and it makes the compiler happy. So when you get the price is really the number of words times 0.09. That actually eliminates the need for that instance field. You really don't even need underscore price at this point. You could just call this property. The price property is the number of words times 9 cents per word. So this is a very C# way of doing accessors and mutators in these things called properties. And remember, there is a free method that you get here called classified add that you get for free, but it's not a bad idea to type this in. This method, by the way, you're going to notice it has the same name as the class. Okay? A method, this is a very important note if you've never heard this before, a method with the same name as the class is called a constructor. Okay, that is a programming term that you should take a note on. Okay, a constructor is a method with the same name as the class, and it's used, what is a constructor? Well, a constructor is something that builds something. It's used to build your objects. And so let's go ahead and create some ads, right? So let's create some ads here. So I'll say button create ads. Okay, now we're also, in this programming example, we're going to create an array of ads. Like, let's say we want a bunch of ads. Okay, you're familiar with arrays, but we haven't created an array of objects yet. Okay, so that's kind of where I want to take this. Let's create an array of objects. So if I was going to create one classified ad, it looks like that. If I was going to create an array, well, just like before, you put an array brackets called ads is new classified add in the number of elements, right? So this is the syntax for dimensioning an array with two classified ads. Now the tricky part of this is that we haven't called that constructor yet. When you have an array of objects, you have to instantiate each object with the keyword new. We've created the array, we have not created the objects. So creating an array of objects is a two-step process. This is the first step. Then we need to loop through. Let's loop through our classified adds.length. It's going to basically loop 2 times. And set classified adds sub I equal to a new classified add. This creates 2 objects inside of our array. Okay, so to have an array of objects, it's a 2-part process. First part, dimensioning the array with how many elements there are. Step 2 is constructing those objects, building those objects, calling this method, this method called the constructor. Right? So we just kind of fast forwarded that. Right? We went quickly, but this is how you create an array of objects. And just with a couple of keystrokes, I could create 200 adds. Right? Literally, if I do that 200, okay, I now have 200 objects of classified adds. And that loop constructs 200 objects. Okay, but we don't need 200, we just need 2. Steven. Oh, good question. No, you could ask the user how many adds do you want to create? Get that into an integer, and then put that integer on line 13 in place of the number 2. Just put that variable in there. Good question. Thank you, Steven.
So you can you have like user inputs?
Of course. Yes, you can absolutely. That's exactly correct. Okay, so now we've created an array of classified adds, and for the sake of this, I'll put in classified adds sub-0 dot. Now I don't have mutators. Now I've got these properties. Notice the wrench, price, num words, and category. And notice the price only has a get block. You can actually see that hovering. Price is only a get block. Remember them when we get the price is based on the number of words. So let's set the category of my first add equal to used Toyota. Classified adds sub-0 dot number of words is probably 50 words. And then we'll set classified adds sub-1 dot category is a used Lexus. Classified adds sub-1 dot num words is 60. Okay, so we're putting data in with the properties. And now let's pull the data out. So, of course, we're going to pull out the category, we're going to pull out the number of words, and the price. And we're going to pull that out into a label. Properties, label result. Label result.text is the used Toyota classified adds sub-0 dot category. So that'll say the used Toyota add has this many words, classified adds sub-0 dot num words, and costs classified adds sub-0 dot price.
Why do you do the plus? Isn't the whole point of putting the dollar sign?
Well, it's to break it across multiple lines.
Uh,
It's just to break it across multiple lines. So now our label, it only shows the first classified ad. Of course, we're going to get it to say both. The used Toyota has 50 words and costs $4.50. Of course, to make it a currency, we'll do :C. The used Toyota has 50 words. Has 50 words and costs $4.50. Okay. And of course I could put this in a loop, you know, label. If you had put a line break at the beginning of that one, this will say classifieds 1 category, classified 1 num words, classified 1 dot price. So these properties, okay, let's focus in on the properties. The property called category. The category property works with the instance fields. It's all about the instance fields, putting data into the instance fields. Anytime you got the assignment operator, this is going to be used to put data into the instance fields. Anytime you don't, it's doing a read operation. So if you have the equal sign, you're doing a set block. If and you're modifying the instance fields by using this used Toyota, right? By using the equal sign. If you don't have an equal sign, like down here, you're calling the get block. The get block returns the instance field. And there you go. So this is an array of objects, putting data into those objects and pulling data out. Of course, you could use loops that would really simplify this, but I've kind of done that in one case. The used Toyota 50 words costs $4.50. The used Lexus has 60 words and costs $5.40. Questions? Yes.
I don't know. It's not working for me.
Oh, because you have to uncomment out the price on the classified